Mathew to introduce you. So anyways, last week we announced our $2,500 contest for organizers, and there was a huge response from everybody. And I thought, with all these new organizers joining the Drone Squad app and setting up their clubs on our app, it'd be cool to kind of follow up with maybe some content that you guys would find interesting. So this contest is running for 4 weeks, so I figured for at least the next, for that period of time, for the next 3 weeks, to do a live stream that would interest you guys. So I decided that a good topic to start out with would be, just sort of what makes a good drone race. And so I decided to pull some local guys that I know well here in Southern California to talk about that. And the goal is really to just, inspire and educate you guys. And, this could be for someone if you're, just starting out, maybe you haven't organized a race, but even if you're experienced, I think you're probably going to pick up a pro tip here or there on this. It's always great to see how other people do things. And our guests tonight have 3 different, very different styles of how to run a race. They run different types of races with different types of people, and they have different philosophies. So I think it's going to be cool to get kind of a variety of perspectives here. So let's see how we're doing a live stream. So we've got, I want to make a couple other announcements too. First of all, you notice in the corner there, if you share this live stream, we're going to be giving away a free copy of Liftoff. So thanks to those guys for providing us with a license key. So we'll give the winner, we'll select someone that shared this video right here tomorrow. We'll select that person and I will PM them a Liftoff key at random. So take a minute here while we're sort of getting situated, hit the share button, post it up to your own personal page. If you know an organizer or someone that you think would want to organize, even if someone that's just to hang out with some cool dudes, send them the link. So let's get some more people on here. The other thing I wanted to mention also is on the show today also we're going to talk about the leaderboard on the contest. So without further ado, let me start introducing the guests. I'm going to share my phone here. Here you go. I've got all this gear set up, but I couldn't get the $2 audio splitter. I've got like freaking NASA control system going on. And they closed Radio Shacks. You can't get this shit. So anyway, so I've got right here Sean Krell from LAFPV. Let me dial in everyone.
Hi, Pete.
There we go. So to my right, I've got Sean Krell from LAFPV, and his group is really big here in Los Angeles. They don't do events very regularly, but when they do, they get a big turnout. And they're known, I think, for having like really fun events. They're pretty chill. It's not hardcore racing where someone's typically walking away as a winner. I think the measure of a good time there is just people having fun and running gates. And then we've also got Mathew Stevenson. It'd be great if I could... Oh, I'm pressing the wrong thing here. I can feature people. There we go. Boom. So we got Mathew Stevenson, and he runs Bakersfield Multirotor Group, and that's a Tier 1 multi-GP chapter. And he has run events for that club for a while, and he also does other special events that I've seen him run at the Maker Fair and other things, and we'll talk to him about that as well. And then we've also got Jeff. There he is.
What up?
He's sitting next to the Rainbow Road trophy, I think. There it is.
Yes,
so
I am.
Jeff runs the a weekly race called the Rainbow Road, and that's a night race. So 9 o'clock, people start showing up. Lays out Jeff and the crew there lay out a LED track, and it's got rope lights. And actually, I can show a picture of what that looks like. I think. Well, anyways, you can see the track behind him. Sorry, Jeff?
I was saying, you don't have one of my videos queued up, ready to go?
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. I mean, and we're lucky just to have my own one earbud. Okay, so let's just we gotta crawl before we can walk. You know what I'm saying? So, so anyways, so Jeff runs that race, and that's definitely, I would say, in the little more competitive side for sure. So So I'm going to start it off just, going, this is going to sort of be like a round table discussion. I'm going to throw questions out to each one of you guys, and we're going to cover various topics. If you guys have questions out there, drop them in the chat. And Sean's going to be monitoring that. And if you guys have a specific question, we'll try to get to those. There's like a 7-second audio delay on these things. So, we have to deal with that. So let me start with Sean first. So tell me a little bit about LAFPV and why you started it.
Okay, so LAFPV is a completely free drone racing club in LA. Most of the events are fun fly kind of things, and it's pretty much any skill level, any age, anybody that wants to come and join. We usually set up in the LA area. That's becoming increasingly difficult, so that's like our next hurdle to jump over now. But the idea behind it was, I was going to races, racing one pack, paying a bunch of money, and then going home, after feeling very unsatisfied. So I said, let me just buy some stuff to make a track, and let's put this group together and let's do it. It's just for fun. Let's get everybody together and have like a good time. Let's all practice and like really encourage new talent and new racers to come out of this. And I think it worked. I think a lot of people from this have went on to create their own clubs in their respective towns, and some of these people are like sponsored pro pilots now. It's really cool.
One of the great things about LAFPV is it's a reflection of the area, and Southern California is known for having some of the best drone racers in the world. So when you run an event, those are the dudes that are showing up, but it's not like a high pressure, high stakes type of situation. It's more like some of the best racers in the world showing up and chilling.
One of my first races I ever went to was an LAFPV race where Emax was sponsoring it, and winners were becoming team pilots for Emax. I think Steve Galley became a team pilot at that race. In fact, when I was still racing a Vortex, but that was at that one field, that one playground, like baseball. Yeah. But you've had some really sweet races, and you've helped push the sport.
Thank you.
For everybody. I appreciate it.
So next up, Matt, why don't you answer the same question. Tell us a little bit about Bakersfield and when and why you started that.
Well, mainly it was just out flying RC with my son, and I wanted a DJI Phantom or something like that, and started getting interested in 2014, and then noticed there was people racing, and I was like, what is that? So I started just buying components and calling Brian at Multirotor Mania and asking him how to put the stuff together, because I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know anybody or anything. And then in 2000, and the local RC guys weren't really interested into Facebook or anything. So I created a Facebook group, and then I stumbled upon MultiGP in early 2015, mostly right after they started. Got a MultiGP chapter and started setting up races, and nobody would show up for like 6 months, and nobody was on the Facebook group for like 6 months. I didn't know anybody else out there wanted to do it or not.
So was that a reflection of the industry or the sport at the time, more so than anything else?
Nobody was doing it, and I met one guy bought a Blackout from Australia, and I noticed the price of that, how costly that was.
Yeah.
And then I met Jared and Carlos, and Jared had a ZMR 250 that he broke the arms, and he made wood arms for it, so he's running the motors on wooden arms. And then Carlos had a ZMR 250 and started buying Chinese props because nobody was selling props, and when he spun up, they would bust. And we just met with those guys and kept going from there. And then Josh found us because he went to Flight Fest in the Midwest, met Chris Thomas, and said, hey, I wish there was a chapter in Bakersfield. And Chris goes, have you talked to Matt? So my vice president found me by going to Flight Fest in the Midwest.
Sorry,
Bakersfield Multirotor was that's fine. Bakersfield Multirotor was created as just to find people to hang out with, and then to get a field, we became an AMA club, so we can have insurance and stuff like that, and pretty much host free races also. Local guys or club members help pay for stuff like that. A lot of contributions and a lot of great guys.
I think that's where we're headed to, is to basically require everybody to be AMA members and kind of shoot for that AMA sanctioned club because it's so hard to find a spot in LA County anywhere now. It's a little disheartening from where we started, a year ago, and trying to find a home for this now is just like impossible.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, I don't know to what extent this is a problem kind of in the rest of the country or overseas. I mean, people overseas don't, may not even be aware what the AMA is. But yeah, in Los Angeles, it's definitely a tough atmosphere as far as finding a safe place to fly and that kind of thing. So, you've sort of witnessed that firsthand. Let me turn it over to Jeff.
What are the laws like in LA?
I mean, it went from being an LA city ordinance to where you really couldn't fly FPV within LA city limits. Now it feels like anywhere in LA County, the Parks and Recreation Services are kicking us out, and it's just a nightmare to deal with unless you have a private field, pretty much an AMA sanctioned field that's going to have insurance and just dedicated space where there's no, passersby, I guess. I don't understand the animosity. You guys have both been to LAFPV stuff. We're as safe as we can be, and we're friendly with everybody. It's just...
It's the uneducation. I mean, they're not educated. They don't understand that we're insured and aware and prepared as much as we could be. I mean, there's car accidents. There's a lot of things that happen, on accident. And in any sport, I've seen guys in baseball get hit in the face with a line drive. They don't outlaw baseball.
Jeff, tell me a little bit about Rainbow Road and what that's all about and when you started
Rainbow Road. Okay, so Rainbow Road started as just a nightly meetup. We meet weekly in Yorba Linda at a parking garage underground, and we used to meet on Saturdays in Irvine. Same type of thing in LA was happening in Irvine, where there was nowhere we could actually get permission to fly anymore, not even any of the parks. So we were all looking for an off night to fly. So they found Trabuco Flyers Club out there, and then you got Ventura County FPV now. That's like a permanent field. That's awesome, but that's kind of far, and there's still a lot of guys here locally in Orange County. So I went looking myself and found a few parking lots, and almost every night for about 2-3 weeks, I would go out and fly by myself for a couple hours, and the lighting was perfect, and I started inviting some friends. And it got to a point where people wanted me to let them know that I was going to have a meetup, even though it was the same time on Thursday at 9:30 at the same parking lot. They wanted to know and be reminded of it, and that's where Drone Squad came into play. One of the guys brought some rainbow lights, brought 300 feet of rope lights, and it was one of the coolest videos I ever remember. Even just flying in the goggles over the Rainbow Road was really fun. So we started adding to it, and some of the club members brought in, bought more ropes. We ended up with about 1,200 feet. Then it got to the point where it became popular. A lot of newbies, a lot of guys coming out that couldn't really control their craft or weren't able to keep within the freaking parking lot. We had a guy fly out and go all the way across to Wendy's across the street. So I created a race and made it a points race and made specifications they had to follow. It made it a little more difficult for the new guy. So because we all, as pilots now, know at least 30 or 40 guys here that are good enough to be able to run a race and have their equipment ready to go and have AMA. So guys, and every week they come out, they accrue points, and then I would have a monthly winner, and the winner would take home the cup. And every month, Vic McKell brought home this cup all last year. And the only reason why I have it is because his name's going on it and going back to him for last year. But it became a way for us to practice for real races where there were qualifications or, for multi-GP, or for like match races where he runs actual multi-GP serious races where I'm trying to qualify to go to Muncie or go to this year in Vegas. Okay, I'm going to be going to one of his races or one of LAFPV to qualify. Well, I need to practice having my craft ready, being ready to get on the line, and that brought us all together easily. So, and it just worked, man, and it's fun hanging with your bros, flying at night over lights. Nobody bothers us in Huntington Beach. It's cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty unique setup. So it kind of sounds like to me it's like it's definitely competitive, and and you can just kind of show up, and there's going to be some really competitive racing there, and it's a really good to sort of get you ready for an event. Like
we set up a good track, and we change it every week. We try to make it work. We're going out to have a good time, but the guys that come out and fly with me there are trying to be ready for a race.
Right.
Be ready for Florida, Sebring,
right,
and actually perform.
Mathew, what kind of what's your membership makeup look like? How does it break down as far as experience levels and whatnot?
Well, in the beginning, we were a lot of basic guys. We're still learning how to race, so it wasn't for 2016. We realized like a lot of guys were feeling far and behind, and some were going ahead, and some didn't have time to fly as much. So because of that, we went into the point where we had to adjust. And so like this year, we're doing a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced class, kind of like what Bill and Ventura is doing. That way, the beginner guys, all they have to do is fly through the start-finish gate and just kind of half follow the track around, and they get points through our timing system. And we're dealing with 2 different timing systems now. And then the intermediate guys just follow a basic ground level track. It's almost like you're in a dirt track, no obstacles. And then the advanced guys have to follow whatever track, like maybe somebody Jared puts, where you have to actually dive bomb over a tree or something. That way we can start getting the guys who just come out and watch, and they can actually start flying now. Because I think it's now getting to the point where there's new beginners and they're watching the good guys, but then they feel like, I'm never going to win a prize. We were giving out stickers last year, and the same guys were walking home with the stickers. So we like, well, this year we're going to have different.
I'm sorry, did you say that this is all at one event? You would have
yes
every skill level there,
all at one event. You can run, and how we're running Lifetime, which is the same timing software that most of the dirt tracks run now. We run that, and Bill runs that. We're running an FPV beta version of it. Right. And it hooks up to any time of timing system. So we were doing TrackMate at LA Convention Center, but we have the new event tracker from TBS, and we're going to hook up to that here later on this year.
Cool.
That way, nobody has to have transponders. But the way Lifetime sets up is you run around, and your beginning guys would probably be like, say there's only 10, so the first 2 heats of the beginning. Then the third heat is intermediate. If there's only like 3 guys, and the advanced could be another 10, and that would be another 2 more heats. So no waiting around for different advanced. You're always flying with the skill level, but you're moving on. And then with Lifetime, you go into what Shannon and MultiGP and Bill helped me understand is you go from qualifier rounds to mains, like ABC mains. So you go and get into like a C main, and then the winner of the C main bumps into the B main, and the B main consists of the guys who did better on the qualifying round. So now you're running with one winner from a lower end with the good guys, and then one of the guys or multiple guys from a C main bump up to an A main, and then you get a chance to run with the top guys from the qualifiers, and then the win comes out. And that's what Bill runs, and that's what we run now. And then
the best.
With Lifetime, your A, B, and C main will only be the skill level that you're in. So like on our race on 11th, I'll have 9 winners. 3 will be first place, 3 will be second place, and 3 will be third place. So everybody gets a chance, and there's no determination. We're still playing with the event tracker, so event tracker will be our points thing. And our race on 11th, I'll have 9 winners. 3 will be first place, where every lap you make is a point. That doesn't really make you a winner. So everybody gets a chance. You a raffle ticket. So if in the whole rounds that you completed 6 laps, you get 6 raffle tickets. So at the end of the race, no matter what skill level you're at, we're going to pull a winner, and the winner gets a prize. And we have a bunch of raffle prizes like that. And then the first, second, and third of the 9 different winners will also go home with a prize also. So even if you came out and tried your best and you made 2 laps, you get 2 raffle tickets, and you may still win the big prize.
That gets everyone involved, and you're not just it can be intimidating showing up to a race too, right? Like if you're just getting started, and there's a whole bunch of like really good racers there that have been doing it for a long time, and it's kind of a lot of pressure. So if you can be taking off with guys at your skill level, it makes it more fun and less intimidating, and I think it's great.
That's why you go to Rainbow Road to practice. To practice those nerves, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and the bros sometimes to make it even more exciting, we'll put a few bucks on a race.
There you go.
Tilt squad. All my tilt squad buddies.
Well, and Bill runs.
We're playing with the idea of a pink slip race I was talking to Bob Rugi
Hell
and
yeah.
Ricky Martinez about this, where you like bring a quad, maybe not your number one quad, but something that you wouldn't mind like throwing up there. But I think the idea is there.
All your quads, and the winner gets to pick your quad, man.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I want to know who is watching this live stream right now would be up for a pink slip race. Would you be willing to
Yeah.
put your quad on the line?
I would do it. Yeah.
Like, let's see some
Team
reactions.
race or head to head? Because I'll put tilt squad against any squad out
That's
there.
a cool way. That's actually a better way to do it. Is do a team race, so that way it's not
Yeah,
as
because you
not
got
as
your
brutal.
best. Like, we got some badass dudes, but as a team as a whole, I think my team can take anybody's team. Predator Racing quads and Tilt Squad are the best ones. I'll put it out there, man. Anybody that wants to throw it out, I'll bring a team of
Well, the
5.
team races are pretty nice too.
$100 a pilot, 500 a team.
Yeah. Well, Shannon in Louisiana for MultiGP, he's copying the same team race format that up there in San Francisco is doing. You do 200 laps. You get a team of 4 guys. Minimum 2 of the guys are pilots. The other 2 to 3 are your pit crew, and you fly 200 laps. And I'm not sure 100% how the deal
Oh,
works.
yeah.
Yeah, but he's
Propsman's
going to
doing
have
one of those this weekend or something.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
going
the
to have
guys in
8.
San Diego are doing that too.
Every single pilot I've
San
spoken
Diego
with,
does a badass one.
every single pilot I've spoken with says team race is the way to go. They said it's the most exciting way to do this. They said it's the funnest drone race you can have.
Why aren't more
Yeah,
people doing
We have a
team
good
races?
time doing it. We've been doing it.
Well, the team races take a lot more people.
That's true. That's true.
Man, there's teams across like Cleveland Quad Squad. They're back east, and they've accepted challenge. Actually, everybody wants to meet in Vegas. I think that's a good place for everybody across the nation. Get your 5-man team together or 7-man, and let's all meet in Vegas and put up or shut up.
Vegas has 2 MultiGP chapters now, and they both are in AMA.
Well, that's where they're
fields.
doing the finals this year.
And there's
The finals are
2.
happening there.
Well, the qualifier is Bakersfield Multirotor, Oxnard for Bill's group for Ventura, and then 2 Vegas are both doing qualifiers for MultiGP. And then the final for MultiGP is in Oxnard with Bill's facility, and then the championship is in Las Vegas, and they're working on 2 or 3 different locations at this time.
This is what happens when you get 3 organizers
Bill, I won't
on a
know,
Skype call together. They start organizing things. So right now it sounds like what's happening on this call is we're planning a team
No, you
race
don't have to
for
wait.
pink slips
Props
in
Monkeys
Las
is calling me
Vegas.
out.
Is that what's
Hold on
happening?
a second. Props Monkeys is calling me out, and James is on my team, not on their team. We're gonna have to sort that out because we got overlapping teams here. But we've got a few teams ready to go. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I'll talk all night. Go ahead.
Yeah, get Bill to host get Bill to host
I
the team racing over there.
Well, yeah, no, people are calling me out. I mean, dude, Ark Navid, he's a badass pilot. I think he got 3rd at nationals at Drone Nationals, and they have a sick. They run weekends like real races. You bring your transponder, you set up in heat, you have your, and that's what I was talking about. Chewy does that as well, and they just run sweet races. And they've got a team called the Props Monk. He's down there too, and I'd be happy to race him anytime. But
I think M3
neither of us
took
gets
nationals
to make the
third
track.
place. I don't think it was.
Make the
They're all
track.
great pilots. So let's talk a little about how you get the word out for events. So I guess in the beginning, Matt, you were saying it was kind of tough just because the sport was new. So what do you guys think is the most effective way to get people to show up? Sean, take it first.
I mean, most of this exists solely on Facebook. We're all Facebook groups. I mean, we all have our Instagram pages and stuff, but really, this is all just a tight knit community of people. We share stuff on Mini Quad Club. We all know the drill, but it's mostly just word of mouth. If you're in LA, you know about these groups. You know about Bill's group. You know about Jeff's group. You know about Matt's group. It's just a thing. We're all friends. We all know each other, and as a drone racer, as a pilot, you're constantly looking for something to do, looking for a place to race, looking for a track. So you will find the information.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the goal of the Drone Squad app is to help, connect all these people. There was a new meetup that this guy decided to start at Whittier a couple weeks ago, and he used the app. He posted it up, and he said 10 people showed up. Never knew him, never met him. he just kind of did it and had no idea what was going to happen, and they showed up. So
Hopefully, it
there's
wasn't Jeff.
definitely a lot more pilots out there now, I think, than there used to be. So I think a lot of them are on Facebook. I know when I was starting out, it was hard to find these groups. Once you get dialed in, you're dialed in. I think if you're new, I think it can be tough.
I need to check like my drone squad club against our Facebook club and see if there's any members that aren't in the Facebook club, and see if it's done its job as like a location thing, to see, oh wow, these people had no idea about LAFPV, but they're based on
see
their
what the
location.
overlap is. I can give you the
they're
list.
A different crowd. I've found a whole new crowd on Drone Squad all the time. Like we get a lot of response off the Drone Squad app. People like at a distance that'll come for a rainbow road race because they'll look it up and just joining on the Drone Squad app. And some people found it and didn't know anything about our Facebook group or rainbow road race anytime before the Drone Squad app. So that's pretty cool. I dig it that way.
Yeah, that's the goal with it. Even if you don't,
I like it keeping points too. It keeps the points after each heat.
Yeah.
Lets us know when we're up, when the guys, because everybody gets to talking or BSing in between races. But it gets you prepared, and it's just like a multi-GP race. So it prepares me for when I'm going to a multi-GP race. It's the same thing. It's going to pop up. I'm going to be ready with my heat.
Matt, have you ever had an event where you've brought in like mainstream press, you've tried to get local news media or national news media to show up and cover an event that you've run?
Well, in the beginning, we didn't really push the press because we just, our AMA field is a church, and I didn't know how they felt about too many spectators. But in our final, we did have the news media show up, and they kind of did a quick 5-minute interview and had to run away from Jeff having video problems. And then, so then I went back and talked to them. Yeah, and
that'll be a problem.
And Francis knows some people at our local newspaper, and he's posted those when somebody's won, like the couple guys when they went to Team Legit's race in the beginning of 2016, and he posted that our guys from Bakersfield won. Race. Yeah. Well, no, he actually had a drone race in the beginning of 2016 that people don't even realize he even did. It was at a park. He even had the sheriffs get called on him, and they let him fly anyways, and even had him put the goggles on. Yeah, in the beginning of 2016, he did. Huh. It might even be 2015. It might
Sean,
even be back in 2015.
At the LAFPV Drone Nationals qualifier, there was some really good press that came out of that. I think one story from LA Weekly was great. I mean, they shot this killer video. They interviewed a whole bunch of people. What did you do? Did you proactively go out there and try to get people to cover the event?
I had a connect that had hit me up prior to the event that made that happen. But then after that, they did another piece. They did a video piece and a written piece on it. We just got really lucky, but obviously everyone is stoked about drones. Yeah. So if you mention to your local media and give them a tip on that, they will most likely send somebody out, and that's huge.
Yeah, I think the trick there is to find a good angle and think about it from the story perspective, think about it from the reporter's perspective, like why would I want to show up at this race and cover it? I think in 2016, there was a lot of froth, and there still is, but like a lot more froth about drone racing in general, and everyone's rushing. I remember at the IDRA race, the California Cup, 60 Minutes was there, and they had just covered a full-on 60 minutes crew. They just covered the F3 Expo. Then they came to continue at the California Cup, and then so there's a lot of national coverage happening at drone racing. I still think you can get people to show up, and think about what unique angle you have. Like maybe it's family friendly. Maybe you show the kids that are using it and tie it into STEM education. Maybe you find, whatever you think it is that's going to appeal to that particular reporter that you're reaching out to. But I would definitely encourage organizers to go out there and try to get the local media or national media to cover your event, just because it helps sort of raise a good public image, So anytime we have a chance to be doing something cool, and it just turns people onto it and gets new people interested.
Well, and you can message me too. I talk to many organizers around the country and even around the world asking me questions, and I reply almost every day to different ones asking anything from timing systems to live stream to just point systems and formats. And then just different organizers from MultiGP and outside of MultiGP have contacted me. I've talked to people in New Zealand and England and surprised the amount of people who have talked to me on through Facebook and on the phone. And
That's great.
called
What's
me.
the best way for people to reach you if they're watching this and they have a question?
On BakersfieldMultirotor.com, there's a contact page. It has my Facebook name and my phone number and my email. So any one of those is great.
Yeah, I can
And they
attest
contact me all
to
the
Matt
time.
making himself available and be very giving with his time. When I first started working on Drone Squad, I had a whole bunch of questions for people and just doing initial like customer research and stuff. And Matt was always there for me to like pick up the phone and answer questions that I had and just get background information. And I learned a lot talking to you. So
And then when we just did in December the International Drone Expo in the Los Angeles Convention Center, I've had a lot of people call me about hosting races around the state. So we've had a lot
we
of those
overlapped.
too.
That was when we did Rainbow Road and MakerCon and Rainbow Road and International Drone Expo. That's when everybody started hitting me up to do Rainbow Road in different parts of the nation.
Yeah.
Nice, everybody buying the rope and doing it themselves. It's not that hard.
Yeah, the hardest part is, the amount of money it takes to run an event of any kind. It could be just as little as paying, $25 for AMA insurance to, thousands of dollars for hotel and gas and rental cars. So,
now that you brought it up, that was something I wanted to talk about. That was definitely something I wanted to cover. So since you brought it up, what are the costs involved to operate your club? What do you have to sort of do you have like a nut that you need to cover, and then do you recoup those costs in some way by charging?
Mainly all we've ever asked for in the past is the basic cost recovery of what we've had to put on. David from that drone show and Emacs picked up the cost, to help supply and hang the net in the LA Convention Center. I mean, those people charged $1 a pound. It was $1 a pound just to bring stuff in, and then when I did insurance to AMA, I had to insure the LA City because they own the LA Convention Center. I had to insure the company that runs the LA Convention Center, and then I had to insure the host of the International Drone Expo just to cover them, And then the LA Convention Center's costs are pretty high. I know
you wanted the internet connection for the live stream. How much do they want for that?
Yeah. I think we were quoted $5,000 a day
for the Wi-Fi password.
I would have let you use my hotspot for a tenth of that. $500.
I can tell you
my hotspot.
For 2 days running our timing system live, I ran my phone hotspot. My phone just sat on a hotspot for 2 days. I should charge LA Convention Center for that 2 days of hotspot time. And then for us to get up there, and LA Convention Center, the hotels aren't cheap. So these guys are paying anywhere from $250 a night plus $25 a park, and then the pilots were great too. We had to charge the pilots to come in, and that doesn't even cover the cost for the race. But they were a great bunch of guys who showed up, and it was really a really fun race. And spectators came, and I can honestly say, as small as the International Drone Expo has become, I think most of the people showed up because we actually ran a race there. And Jeff and Emacs and those guys were the great guys. Yeah, and we saw Sean photobomb some of us shots. I've seen him in the background. Didn't come up and say hi, but we saw him in the shots, so he couldn't sneak by too much. Hardest part, though, is don't do a drone race at a drone show because every company wants a plug-in at 5.8.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so I did a couple of times. I've had to run around. I stuck the megaphone in a couple of people's face and said, unplug that thing. And I had one guy who plugged in, and then he's like, I'll unplug, and then everybody watched his live feed as he walked down the aisleway with it still plugged in. So you run into those,
Yeah.
And the LA Convention Center video is not that great, but a lot of guys had fun with and people like, Ken Liu, Flying Bear. I mean, he just ran so perfect and consistent.
Yeah.
He's almost like he's on rails when he flies, and it's hard to keep up with those guys. Yeah, they're insane. We had a lot of guys, Hazak and guys like that showed up.
Yeah, that was a good event. I mean, people came and they had fun, and once, as usual, this is what I say, is that the organizers are the unsung heroes. The pilots get to show up and drain packs, and meanwhile you're going out and getting insurance coverage for 3 different entities and trying to figure out how you're going to avoid paying $5,000 for Wi-Fi.
I don't just go out and set up. I make sure I'm in the race myself. I don't just set up.
I'm going to take a quick break, you guys, for 1 second. We've been running this contest, and I want to share some of the people that are kind of in the running. This is a $2,500 giveaway for you guys, for organizers. We want to say thanks to all the people that go out there and run these events. So there's 3 different categories of prizes. So the bronze level is if you that's the we're showing the wrong page here. So the bronze level is what I meant to show, and so this is for clubs that are 3 to 10 people. So last week we started running this contest, and there's a huge surge of folks that started to go out and create groups. So this is the standing. These are all the people here that created a group on Drone Squad, and that's the number of members. And so now all these guys here in this list have been qualified for the bronze prize package. You get 1 entry for every pilot that's in your group. I don't want you trying to go out and like spam these groups and add people that don't belong there. And the spirit of this thing is to get people in here that are, truly local and truly flying with you. But this is the response that we got in 1 week after launching this clubs feature. These are all the clubs under 10 people that said, hey, I want to go out there and form my own group. I want to see if there's anyone in my hometown that wants to fly with me. And so when you post a club on Drone Squad, all the local pilots get a push notification. So these guys are able to either ask their friends to join, and a lot of times what happens is people just see that push notification. They're like, oh, cool, like the Newhouse RC Club, Newcastle FPV, right on. I'm going to check out North Atlanta Drone Squad. And so we're just giving them sort of that ability to kind of connect. So if you see your name here, this is your standing. If you go over that 10 pilot threshold, then you're going to be knocked up into the next prize package. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if you're 3 to 10 people, you qualify for the bronze. So back to the show here. See all speakers. There we go. So we talked about kind of like the costs. You're running Rainbow Road, Jeff. That's a lot of LED lights. Tell me a little bit about the logistics of setting up a fully lit track. I mean, how long is this track? How many LEDs are we talking about? How much do these things cost? Where do you buy them?
Well, they're 150-foot sections. They're about $70 to $80 a piece online. You can pick your different colors, a rainbow one or different colors. We had at one point up to 1,200 feet. Most of the tracks that we set up out in the lot were about 900 to 1,100 feet. So they weren't too... we were able to go up and over and around and stuff. I was just looking for one that I could show you real quick.
Yeah, sorry guys. I just totally...
You just speaker bombed everybody.
All right. So anyways, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so I said I get out there about 15 to 30 minutes early. And I'll usually walk around, or by the time I get there, I already know where I'm going to go.
On his screen.
I got a message like, yeah, I'm showing on my phone. So,
this is ghetto fabulous right here. This is professional live stream right here.
Takes me about 15 minutes. I got my iPhone up on there. Beep. So it takes me about 15, 20 minutes to set up. Usually some of the guys will show up early and help me roll it out. Most of the times I'm doing it on my own. Chris from our club, Orange County Flyers Club, bought the first 3 lights, or first 3 rows of lights. And then we just added them from there, weekly. And then Mikey brings out a generator. They're coming in a few days. So next Thursday, actually this Thursday, we'll be running it again. Rainbow Road.
So
this Thursday,
And when I went, Jonathan Rincon had brought a bunch of like LED gates out too. That was cool.
Yeah, the drone circuit. Yeah, the drone circuit club race, the drone circuit racing gates. They're all lit up. They're pretty sweet. We had them in the garage too last week. That was a sweet run.
So you show up for Rainbow Road. This is basically, let me paint a picture for these people. So I'm driving to Huntington Beach at 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. I'm going to a parking lot at an empty kind of like typical LA strip mall, but it's cleared out because the last like place, which is like a Chinese restaurant, is shut down. And for the most part, all the cars are gone. Once the last car leaves, and you start laying out the track, and then all these dudes show up and they start trickling in, and then at about what time, like 9:30, 10, you're going.
Yeah, about 9:30, 9:45, I'll start running like an organized practice, where everybody lines up on their channel, 5 at a time, get out and run them, and then by 10:30 at the latest, after everybody's gotten a few packs in a practice on the new track, I'll start the heats, man, and start counting points, and they get a point per lap, and the next round spots the first round, count their points, man, and they're really trying hard because they accumulate, man, and by the end of the day, you got a first, second, and third. They don't really win anything much more than having points towards the monthly,
Right.
But it also helps them get used to coming out on and being prepared.
So,
like
the way it works is you show up and then you get points, and that accumulates towards the monthly champion.
Total. Yep, and the guy at the end of the month, the last race on the last Thursday of the month, whoever has the most points wins.
Gotcha. And you win that trophy right behind you.
You take the trophy home, and then you keep it. You got to bring it back next month. And actually, this is actually Vic's from last year. I'll have a new one this year. You come out and you have to defend your cup. And if you can't come out and somebody else comes out every week, they'll probably win the cup.
Right.
To win, go for something and try to, and then if you win it, have something sitting on your mantle.
So when I was there was this woman kind of like rollerblading. This is a woman who was there at...
You got a different spot now?
Yeah, we went down the street, actually. They got a new security at that lot, and he came out and threw us out at about midnight. And he said that the owner didn't want it, and I told him that they had already given us permission, and it was too late at night to call and prove. So rather than hassle with them, we just moved it the next week. It's just down the street in front of a pizza place now. It's pretty sweet.
Cool.
It's actually a better layout. It's better for the track. It's a little more.
Does that lady still rollerblade by or what?
Well, what I was trying to say,
but she's not the only one, man. There's there's one guy that gets out there and dances, and he thinks he's controlling the drones with his hands and shit. He's really into it. It's fucking hilarious, man. But you gotta see where the guy is flipped out.
Nighttime is when you get a lot of characters. So actually, let me segue into spectating. Not spectating the rollerbladers, but people coming out and watching the race. So Sean, like the LAFPV stuff that you run, it usually runs for several hours. People kind of show up when they want to show up. It's not like they don't have to all arrive at a certain time. People bring the easy ups and the chairs like they do at drone races or whatnot. But I've noticed at LAFPV that people will bring their significant others, spouses, girlfriends, friends. And is that pretty common? Like, what is the deal with this? What's the spectating situation with LAPV in the events, and how are you seeing that develop? And what makes an event good for spectators?
We've always tried to make it a family thing, something that's friendly for everybody, and trying to make it comfortable for everybody. That's not always easy when it's 900 degrees outside and you're in the sun all day. But Ian McKinley actually made a good point in here. Race event organizers need to work with food trucks to book them for events. I think that's actually really important. We're talking to a few indoor locations, possibly working something out that has that stuff kind of built in. But that would be the ideal situation. You have something that your family can do while you're racing. They can tune into the race. They can go get some food. They can hang out. Otherwise, it gets really boring for people because we don't care. We'll be there all day long in our goggles for 8 hours, But for other people, that's not as fun. So we need to try and make it more of a family thing if we want this to exist as a spectator sport. I think.
Yeah.
I think what we did at the Nationals, setting up screens where people could track the info, and now that you can, spectators, even if they aren't in the race, using the Drone Squad app, they can track who's winning, where their brother, their boyfriend or girlfriend or son is at in the leaderboard. I think that's really cool. You have a real time data that it's going to show you, all that info. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
When I
think
went to,
you're
San
talking about
Francisco
this
for,
right here is like
Con-
the leaderboards and stuff. So I'm not trying to make this a commercial about the app, but you mentioned being able to spectate. I think what I saw at LAFPV is when the spectators all had the app and they could see who was actually racing. They could see what frequency they're on. They could tune in. They knew what was going on. It wasn't just like, well, who's that flying or who's on this channel and then so you can actually follow along. And having the live leaderboard was really helpful and also for the pilots too, because they knew kind of where they stood and could develop their strategy for the rest of the race. But from a spectator standpoint, I mean, everyone knows the challenges with drone racing, seeing the drones. And,
yeah, I mean, you got these tiny 5-inch quads ripping around at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's not something you can really watch. I mean, it's cool to see them fly by you line of sight, but you have no idea who's who.
Yeah.
I don't care how many LEDs you put on a quad. It's not going to work. I mean, I think being able to tune into the FPV feed and actually see, like you said, see who's on what frequency and see who's racing.
The frequency guide. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a TV
guide.
guide.
See, that's a pilot spectator. Pilots care about that. Spectators don't care
absolutely,
about
for
who's on what
pilots,
frequency.
yeah.
Yeah. So the best spectator play event that I've been to personally was MakerCon in San Francisco. We saw 30,000 people through the tent there. Now, they had a whole row of Fat Shark goggles on a table. Great, I got somebody back.
Someone's battery charger? Is that your...
No,
get some
my
packs?
neighbor's truck.
Just
Start
back
a
it up.
fire.
Drunk neighbor parking his truck. Okay, so
Back it up.
what was it? He's got to go forward here in a second.
Professional.
Are you kidding me? Okay,
So,
so the Fat Shark table was amazing. Dude,
Yeah.
people ran, when they opened the gates to the fair, plus people at the gate would run straight into the drone tent, try to line up for the Fat Shark goggles. Okay, people who don't race or aren't just watching it line of sight, when they got in the goggles, they were freaked out. You got to come see this. You got to come see this. Along the side of the net, they had the big screens, bleachers, and the bleachers were full of people watching feed on the big screen, and then the lit up track. That was the first time I ever saw a track that was like Rainbow Road. And ever since, well, that was when I wanted to create one.
Yeah.
But
And, another thing that
show.
another thing that Sean did, which I think was great, and maybe you do this too, Matt, is you had great music at LAFPV, and you had a great announcer. So having someone like calling the race, we all have heard Joe Scully, and it'd be great if we each had a Joe Scully in our own hometown. I mean, there's someone that that you recruited for LAFPV who had a background in like calling RC truck events.
Yeah,
But-
he had.
Scully's prepared. Scully has information. If an announcer has information in front of him and knows what's
It was
going on.
Kyle, right?
Yeah,
Kyle Hidalgo.
Kyle Hidalgo was our guy. I think Ethan was DJing that day, but Kyle Hidalgo was emceeing the entire race. It really makes it feel like a real sport when you have that. Like, on top of keeping track of the pilots and letting everybody know what's going on and who's racing and where the standings are, it really makes it feel like a proper sport when you have the announcer. I mean,
It's exciting.
That guy was so good. Yeah, it's really it's exciting. You're like, and he's he's not just announcing the race. He's like calling it out. And as a guy who
dude's
knows,
going in the first. Yeah,
exactly, Jeff. When you know RC stuff and you know about quads and how these things handle, and he made up names for each of the sections of the course. I think that was really, really cool. He just got people pumped about it.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
I dig.
So, guys, I'm
was
going
trying
to
to
take another
put on a
break
race
to
this
talk
weekend.
about this contest and the next prize packages. When we come back from this 1 minute break, I want you guys to talk about some pro tips, like some real practical like things that you can tell people that are either experienced in doing this already or they're new. Like, what would you tell an experienced person? Maybe something they may not know, or a beginner. So we've got this $2,500 contest. You can win all kinds of gear. Tons of sponsors helping out with this. So we've got Team Black Sheep, Think Tank, Low Pro, Fly Pro, Liftoff, Militia Brothers, Emax, X-Hover, Vertitech, Hoodman, Aero Sports League, Multirotor Mania. Tons of prizes here. All the gear that you want, nothing that you don't. And so these are the guys that are now qualified for the silver level. For the silver level prize package, $750, and there's 3 weeks left, by the way, to enter this contest. This is open to clubs that are 11 to 50 members in size. So if you go on and get your club on the Drone Squad app, so if you have a club out there now, make sure you're on Drone Squad. It's really easy to share, and you don't have to, use our race management tools or do anything crazy. I mean, you could simply just try it out and listen to an event. We'd like your members to get to see what it's like, and a lot of people that are getting back to us find it really handy just for even planning and logistics, and it's really helping to grow their clubs. So anyhow, I recognize a few names in here. So these are the guys there's about 54 people that are already qualified for the $750 prize.
Oh, yeah, South Bay. Nice.
Yeah, and I'm noticing that there's there's people here that I'm seeing bigger clubs that could be qualifying for the $1,000 prize. So, and there's a lot of clubs in here that I know they have more members. So you got to go out there if you're seeing your name on here and get the rest of your members to join, so you can get that $1,000 prize.
San Diego Electric Silent Flyers Club has like 400 something members.
Right. So
Yeah, I swear to God.
So here we go. Let's get the hangout back. So Matt, so I'm a guy. Let's say I been getting into FPV recently, and I want to. Sorry, thanks. There we go. And I want to organize my first event. What are some tips to help me make that event successful? Let's say it's a fun fly.
Run away as fast as you can. No, no, I mean, it's just a fun fly. It's just a matter of letting people know. I think the tips are, as Sean mentioned, Facebook is, I used to try to put a percentage to it, but I think anymore it's almost 100% in this sport, because if you're not, anybody that's not been on Facebook or has fought to be on Facebook is kind of like, are getting left out. They don't know when anything's happening. Even on SoCal MakerCon and LA International Drone Expo, I actually made a group just on Facebook, excuse me, just to give updates to the pilots, how to park, where to park, what are we going to do, who's qualified, who's not, basic rule changes if they happened. And the pilots that weren't in that group seemed to be felt left behind.
Right.
So it's good to keep the guys, I guess, information is the pro tip, is get as much information and get it out as soon as you know it. To keep the questions down. As Sean knows, people show up, they have questions. So if you have somebody at the field even help answer the questions that people have, that's the biggest pro tip, is have somebody who's knowledgeable, who knows how the format's running, who maybe something simple as where's the restrooms, where's the local eating places,
how many people do you need? Let's say you're running a fun fly for 20, 30 people. I mean, you need some volunteers and some support, right? Like, how do you break it down?
It's hard when you're by yourself. You run a lot yourself. I mean, and the major thing too is if you're doing a fun fly, you need an app or a website or something to help manage the video frequencies, because even though they might say, oh, Jeff over here is running F2, like you're running F2, you might need to know, like, I don't know who Jeff is. I don't know who he is. I don't know how to keep track. And in the early days before we were renting either multi-GP or even Drone Squad, we had a laminated sheet with the channels, and we just wrote initials with the magic marker, a dry erase pen next to who was running what channel. So another pro tip is just, know your channels, know what the frequencies are that you're going to run and you're going to allow even at your fun fly. Don't just let the guys show up and go, well, I'm not running F2, well, I'm out running F1. You have to understand that those two don't work together. So you have to say, no, we're only going to run these, 3 channels, these 5 channels, these 8 channels, and keep to your guns and have a little guts involved, and then try to keep everybody safe. You'll always have the rogue guy who wants to be unsafe too. And safety takes a little bit of balls to say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, let's stop on that point for a second. I think that's really important, Matt. So I'm showing a picture that you can't see to the live streamers about sort of this mat, and I've seen this being used at a few different places, and it's a frequency mat, and it simply shows you where you can place your quad, and it has a frequency number next to it. LAFPV uses this, and some other people, and it's a pretty handy tool. But where I've noticed a lot of groups sort of meet their sort of downfall is exactly what you said, where the meetup organizer isn't assertive enough. And, your job really, I think, as a good meetup organizer is to be able to tell someone no, or you're not going to make everyone happy. So if some guy
Yeah.
shows up and their video transmitter is buried in their quad and they can't change the channel onto one of the ones that you're using, well then, sorry, maybe next time. And, maybe the onus is on the organizer to
Well, the organizer
help get the
sometimes will
word out,
kind of
but
help. You kind of go around and find out who's also on that channel and ask them if either they can change because the other guy can change to help the new guy out.
See, all that's frustrating. All that's frustrating.
It is frustrating when some guys can't, or they break them and they only can sit in one channel. But honestly, if you're on a channel that doesn't meet our requirements, we kind of just don't let you fly, or
best race, I think, one of the best races as far as preparedness I went to as a pilot, because it's real important. I think, a pro tip I believe is really important is to make sure that the pilots are happy. A lot of the races aren't for the pilots, and if the pilots are happy and having a good time, the vibe is good, and the vibe will be good for everybody, the spectators, everybody, and people will enjoy the race. As an organizer, a pro tip would be give every pilot that's going to come and has confirmed information and what you require as far as what channels are going to be available, how many, what size transmitter is going to be run. If you want to give out the track, that's fine. Let them know what the schedule is, man. You're going to have 30 minutes to practice or set up and check in your quad. And if the people are late, maybe that's when Matt, is right about saying no. But the guys that are prepared and on time and are there are going to, have more fun if they get the packs in. A lot of times I find races where I'll go and Matt's only done this a couple of times, but he'll try to be nice to a guy and give him an extra minute. And then the next guy wants 5 minutes. And then somebody else wants another minute. And then next thing you know, it's a race. Sorry, instead of the 4 qualifiers, we're going to go with the first 2 qualifiers. You get fastest lap, and strategize to build up to their 4th, heat, are asked out, and they don't get to finish their heat. So I think building a clock or a schedule around a time and sticking to it. You know how long your heat's going to be.
Yeah.
You want, and Matt did it the last few races. Matt had it perfect. There's 4 freaking minutes. We're going to run 3 minutes, and then you got a minute. And if you're not ready, I had to sit out a couple. And I had to sit out, and that was my bad. But you know what? I came back and had a sick 3rd or 4th round. I think my 4th round, I went from 16th to 4th place in one round because we got that round in.
Yeah,
if
it
I
really
wasn't
pays to be
that round
organized. And
I would have been pissed off and went home because I missed the one.
So,
I missed 2 out of 4 rounds. In my 4th round, I killed.
Mike Avendano said.
So I think
good point. He said,
if
if you tell a newbie no, they don't come back. And then Bill Seiler followed up with, "You got to stick by your guns." Okay, both of these things are important. We want to encourage people to come in, and we want to be accepting. But there's a big difference between a fun fly and like a real event that people are paying for, and or even not. If it's a real race event that has dedicated time for practice, dedicated time for these certain heats, then you gotta stick by your guns. If it's a fun fly, something that doesn't matter, obviously we can work with that.
And that's when you want to make sure the pilots have all the information they need as far as what time, where, when, how, where to park. Matt killed it on the last couple races with the extra Facebook group and an email every 2 minutes and spammed on 97 Facebook groups. I knew where to go, and I was there early and on time. Everybody knows it. But and you go.
I think
Sean,
if I get all my facts,
I'm gonna hand it over to Sean. So, what are you gonna tell someone that's just starting out organizing an event? What's something important that they need to know, or that you found that would be helpful?
I mean, I think Jeff already nailed it. If you are a pilot, you understand what it's like to go to one of these events and be frustrated. So just don't let that happen. I would say have some fun flies before you try to organize a big race. Yeah. Obviously, I don't think anybody would just try and jump into a massive paid race in the beginning, but have some fun flies and see how it goes. But always care about making sure people are having a good time. That's what we're all trying to do. That's like why we all start these groups. So make sure you follow through.
And I think that's why you want to set up time ahead of time. Like maybe let people know I'll be there at 8. Practice starts at 9. If you need to set up, come in and get help with your channels or any newbies, come in early.
Yeah.
Maybe and then after that time is up. Sorry, 9 o'clock. We're going into like real schedule time here.
Well,
and then the pilots that actually like I practice hard, and then a lot of my team and a lot of guys, like the San Diego guys, practice like nobody else. Come to these races and actually perform. Yeah, we're not making a lot of money. We're not making any money. Sometimes we might win a frame or one motor. Johnny won one freaking X Nova at a race. I don't know why it was one motor and not four, but it was still cool. And he's got it. And we work hard to win that one motor. So I just think having it ready for, and sticking to your schedule and being done on time is cool. But if you got to stay a little late to make sure the pilots get their thing, for Rainbow Road Race, I'm not as strict. But once we
be
start
afraid to
meetings,
ask.
I get really strict. And then after the race, fly all you want, man. Have a good time. But during the race, it's race time.
Well, and don't be afraid to ask. Like, for LA and MakerCon, Jeff can tone to this. When I got thrown into it, first thing I said was, who's doing what? And I was told by the organizer that I have nobody. So what I do is I started finding everybody like Jeff and JD and Bill and Josh. And I grabbed the teams together and used the teams for their knowledge. Don't make them do something they don't like to do or don't know how to do. If you have a project manager and that's his day job, grab him to help you project manager. If he's an engineer, have him help you with the engineering side if they want to help. It's nice to get the team. I will never take credit for all this stuff. My thing is, like, if you take all the credit, you get all the blame also. So I give all the credit to everybody else.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break and talk about the last prize package here. So this is the $2,500 FPV contest. I'm going to show you really quick who the sponsors are. So we've got all these great guys that have sort of, I called in a lot of favors and I said, guys, I want to run this contest, and all these guys are super helpful. They said, yeah, how can I help, Pete? What do you need? And so all these sponsors really help make this possible. And so I'm looking forward to be giving this away in 3 weeks so that the organizers can, maybe take this back to their clubs and give some of this stuff away as prizes. So the platinum prize level is...
How do they enter? Is it like just enter and then it's raffle time, or do they have to do something to win?
Yeah, so what you need to do is you just need to create a group in Drone Squad. So there's a link at the top of this chat feed that takes you to this contest page here. At the bottom of the contest page, you can create a group if you don't have one yet, right from our website. So if you want to create, whatever Joe Blow's Facebook group, Joe Blow's FPV group, do that here, and then it will give you a link to share it with people that are in your group already, or if you want to invite some new people. And that's kind of how you get started in the contest. If you already have the Drone Squad app, do it from there. If you already have a group, just start sharing it, and then we'll show where you stand next week. So as far as the gold prize is concerned, right now there's only one qualifier. Woo! And this looks bad because I'm sitting. This guy's like one of my guests here.
Rigged. It's rigged.
Yeah, it looks totally rigged. But
he said he was going to give it away.
But there's a lot of people out there.
Nuts.
There's a lot of groups. I want to see next week.
You were going to do a giveaway, right?
Get out of here.
I want to see a huge list here next week. I don't want to see just LAFPV. I know there's a lot of groups out there that have more than 50 members. So I definitely...
San Diego, like I said, they have 400. I'm surprised that they're not up on there.
I guess
right
they
now.
don't
They'll be
want
up down there
a
by
bunch
the
of
end
free
this
gear.
week,
Is that what it is? They don't like low pro backpacks, or they don't, or the think tank backpacks. That must be it. So another thing I want to let you know before we wrap up is that we're going to continue this as a weekly series. The next thing we're going to do for the next show is tiny whooping in bars. So there's people all over the country doing this. It's becoming a thing. And so we're going to talk to organizers who tiny whoop in bars. We've got the Tiny Whip Club in here in Los Angeles. We got Chris Doerr in Colorado. Guys are setting up gates above pool tables, going through.
Hey, let me know next time you're going. I want to go. I got mine ready.
Yeah. Just go, Bo Lordeson. Just find it on Drone Squad. There's a LA Tiny Whoop Club, and it's actually almost as big as LAFPV at this point.
That's crazy.
Yep, and he just started it a week ago. So he started this on Drone Squad a week ago, and he has almost 50 members in the Tiny Whooping Club. So that's either a statement to Tiny Whooping or Drone Squad, or hopefully a little bit of both.
Or drunks.
Or his marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
Spamming Facebook.
So let me go back and so I want to wrap this up, guys. It's a little bit over an hour.
Hey, so before we go though, there's we finished, speaking of tracks and fields. Ventura County FPV racers. I mean, I'm not trying to plug, but we did put a new track in, and it's pretty sweet. It's all chalked out, and new flags and gates are going in. We'll be running practice this weekend out there.
Right on.
It's a permanent flying field for people to go to, so you can check that out on MultiGP or on Facebook or whatever.
All right, well, let's finish it up with shout outs and plugs and stuff. So Jeff, where can we find you and the Rainbow Road and you and the internets?
Calidrone on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Part of Predator Racing Quads. You can find us at Ventura County FPV. And the Tilt Squad, man. We're always at Thursday nights and Tuesday nights. Just check us out. See where we're going to be.
Calidrone come from? That's not your real name.
Calidrone? Man, I couldn't come up with when I was flying Phantoms. I came up with something real quick. I couldn't come up with a name.
But it says that on your Facebook page. It says Jeff Calidrone. Does your wife call you Calidrone?
No, it's not my last name, but a lot of my family members won't accept my friend request because they don't know who Calidrone is. It's funny shit. They think it's some Italian guy or something.
Matt, who do you want to give a shout out to? Where can they find Bakersfield?
Well, BakersfieldMultirotor.com. Also, Jeff is going to hold the Wild West FPV racing series, and so is Las Vegas. So the championship will be in Oxnard at Jeff at Ventura County. So he's going to run the championship there. We're going to do a qualifier here. It's the first time we're going to try a West Coast kind of series, kind of partnered a little bit with MultiGP, but every year could be different. We thought we'd start out soon because a lot of guys I noticed when I went to help out Indiana's championship for MultiGP, a lot of guys don't have plane tickets or the time or money. So I thought, why are you just running a race? You know, if you're running a little race and you want to add to it and fly with other guys, let's do a series. So www.fpv.com gives you some info on that one. Bakersfield Multirotor on us. You can just type in Bakersfield Multirotor. I'm all over the place because I spam every group that I know of. And then
people can reach you directly if they have questions about organizing races.
Yep, if you need any kind of questions, BakersfieldMultirotor.com contacts page has my info, plus events page has info on how to ask us to help run an event if you need it. And there's disclaimers, and steal as much as you want from it. I don't care. I probably stole most of the stuff that's on the website from other people. So
right on.
Share alike.
Sean, what's the next LAFPV event? Can you tell us anything? Tease any details about that? When's it gonna happen?
I can only say that we are working on an indoor thing because that's kind of what needs to happen right now. Unless we get everybody to all 490 members to get AMA memberships, before the next one, I would like to do an indoor thing. We've met with a place and we're shooting for something. And if not an indoor thing, then like a private area that we're also talking to. But that would be ideal. It would be something that's really family friendly. Food and activities for the whole group, and this would be like a private thing. We'd invite the vendors out, and hopefully I'll have $1,000 in prizes to give away from this contest.
All right, guys, I want to thank everyone for joining tonight. I want to thank Sean Krell from LAFPV. I want to thank Matt from Bakersfield Multirotor and Jeff from Rainbow Road. Next week, we're going to have racing Tiny Whoops in bars. Maybe we're going to get a live stream out of that, of a live Tiny Whoop race happening. It may not be able to happen on a Monday on our usual time, but I'd like to do it broadcast from a bar.